Siobhan Kehoe of the Fertility Treatment Centre. Siobhan, great to see you again. How are you?
Hi, Alan. Thanks very much for inviting me back. It's great to be here.
Any reaction, I hope, to your first chat when you were with me last?
Yeah, no, I have to say that there was good feedback, yeah, and I think people are just interested, to hear more and maybe to hear, maybe besides Western medicine, why it's great that there's other avenues and other ways how people can, heal themselves and get advice. So thanks for giving me that opportunity, Alan.
Let's remind people a little bit about your background. I know we went into it in quite a bit of depth on your first chat, but let's remind people, and of course for people who haven't heard you the first time, just exactly where you're coming from.
Yeah, for anyone listening, maybe just to give a bit of a synopsis of my own background. I suppose I started off, I was always a curious child and interested to know more about who we are and the body intelligence and the mind. And first I started off, I became a registered general nurse, and then I became a registered midwife. And I found all of that very interesting. And while I respect Western medicine, of course, I felt we were looking at symptoms rather than the root cause. So that brought me onto a journey to travel the world for 2 years looking for answers, and I had the great privilege to learn from different healers and get great experience from that, and it made me realise, there is much more than Western medicine. And I myself at that time had some challenges, particularly with menstrual issues and some health issues, and I embarked on acupuncture and herbs for my own challenges. I'm probably my main student, and that really helped me so much so I went on then to study Chinese medicine for 5 years. It's the oldest medicine in the world. It's at least 4,000 years old. Some experts say 5,000 years old. And it helped me understand more about the body intelligence, the nature of who we are, how we are part of nature. And then I ended up working in 3 hospitals in China, and I learned how Western and Chinese medicine can work well together. And so that, really set right with me being, background in Western and Chinese medicine. And also I worked in an IVF fertility clinic, and I was actually, to my knowledge, the first midwife to work in an IVF clinic here in Ireland. So it was a journey of bringing it all together, and I've been self-employed since 2001, and thankfully it's been very successful, if I was to use that word, although I don't claim the success. It's people, I'm blown away daily by people's transformation on, I just give them specific tools, and also it's probably worth mentioning my own challenges. I'm sorry, I feel really emotional saying this, but my own challenges were probably my biggest gift, and I'm probably on a journey helping people to transform what they see as challenges, into a positive. And, because one of my lines is our vulnerability is our connecting point, and sometimes we all feel separate and different, and we say, oh God, it's only me that's going through this. But I learned to sit with that and sit with my, my stress, my what I'd call aloneness, and through that, boy, did I learn, dare I call it wisdom, so I would say, and I'm only learning every day, but I'm really on a mission to help people transform their challenges, whether that be emotional or physical challenges. I really understand how our body intelligence is always supporting us, and I'm really confident with that, and helping people to tap into their full potential energy, and how people can self-heal. I don't even like using the word self-heal anymore, because self-heal means there's something wrong with us. It's remembering who we truly are and shining from that, and I'm trying to do that, and maybe being an inspiration to help other people doing that. And even though I've done all this study in Western and Chinese medicine for 11 to 12 years, an intensive study, I would say nature is my biggest teacher, and I'm tapping into the nature, the energy of who we truly are, that full potential energy, and I'm really confident with this and helping people also to tap into that energy and how they can self-heal. And I'm understanding how the body is just reflecting back the mind, and it's all intertwined. And my words are love, trust and truth, helping people love themselves, trust their body intelligence, trust their challenges. We have the power to overcome that. And so, yeah, that's what I'm about, Alan, yeah.
This is the second time I've watched you get quite emotional on air when you start talking about your own personal challenges. And I suspect that does this mean that you've got a great empathy then with other people?
For sure. You know, as I say to people, I'm my main student, you know, so I don't even like the word judgment, but there would certainly, the more challenged I see people, the more what I call gifted I see people. So when people come to me with immense challenges, I know it sounds nearly odd, but I nearly get excited thinking, wow, they are some strong soul to be able to carry this, and it's in them to be able to transform this. I only believe we get what we can handle, and, you know, and I don't know how much to go into this now, but I believe that we're born with certain challenges. It's in our DNA and it's ancestral, you know, that we carry stuff in our DNA from one generation to the next, and yes, the more challenged, the more gifted. Which, yeah, thanks, Alan. Alan, is going to invite one of my clients. Well, we're friends now, you know, on to talk about her challenges and to be that inspiration. And she's an example of how I work with people and how I help people, and how people's challenges and health issues can transform very easily once we learn to trust the nature of our bodies, Alan. Yeah, thanks, yeah.
Well, we're just going to bring Cindy into the conversation now in just a second, but just one other point I want to ask Siobhan, because you talked about you've 30 years experience, you've medical training, fully qualified, you went to get, the alternative practices to China, looking at herbal medicine. But is there another factor? Is there something else going on when you talk to people, when you treat people? Is there something else beside the practical, physical side going on? Yeah,
well, I would say 95% of my work is actually self-learned, and this journey has brought me to link with the healer within me, and I know it might sound unusual, but I'm not going to mess with it. I will get a deep shiver down my body where a person's block is, where their truth is, and I've realised we're all one, that it's tapping into the energy, that there's more than our physical bodies. There's this energy to us that we can tap into, and I'm only, skimming on the surface, I believe. Even science is proving this. Science has proved it. We're made from the same atoms that make stars, that knows how to grow a seed into a tree. We are made up of this full potential energy, and we're holding ourselves back. So my work is helping myself tap into that energy and helping other people tap into that energy so they can heal themselves and transform their stress from the inside out. I'm only the support. I don't take that credit. It's people that do that inner transformation themselves, and Cindy is an example of that. Cindy and Ludo, yeah.
Well, we mentioned Cindy. Let's talk to her right now. Cindy, good day to you. How are you?
Hello Ireland. I'm very good, thank you.
Now, first thing to clarify is, where are you? We're speaking to you, but what part of the world are you in?
I'm in the French Alps. I'm very close to a city called Albertville, who was lucky to host the Winter Olympics back in 1992.
So you're way up in the mountains?
Yes, I am. In my home village.
Hi, Cindy.
Well, listen, tell me about your journey. How did you meet Siobhan and get in contact with her, and why did you get in contact with Siobhan?
So, I got to know of Siobhan through an Irish friend of mine, a long-term Irish friend, Niamh, who lives in Ballyferrita on the west coast. And Niamh reached out to me. She'd been experiencing miscarriages and she looked for some help, and she found Siobhan on the internet, and her and her husband went to Siobhan for help. So after being helped by Siobhan, and after 4 miscarriages, my friend told me that she had been pregnant and that the pregnancies would be successful. That's after 40 years old as well. Neve is just a year older than me. And she explained to me what they went through, what they did, how it worked. And so I had that first-hand experience of this success. And myself and my now husband had been trying to have a baby for 2 years. And we had to endure medical terminations. 2 of those medical terminations were authorized after the 12-week scan, which showed very severe genetic disorders in the fetus. So those medical terminations were not... there was no other way. The fetus were not viable, and the fetus would not survive up until birth. So this is the way it had to go, and the third pregnancy, just the egg didn't develop. And having heard Neve's story, we had 2 routes we could go down. We could go down the route of injections of hormones, and maybe the route of IVF, which I totally respect and understand. And there was that holistic, natural approach that Siobhan had given to Neve and Dawn, and that really appealed to the both of us, to my husband and I. And I'm lucky that my partner was, open-minded to nature, to the natural way. So we actually traveled to Ireland at the end of January 2020. That was a month and a half before COVID hit. And we met Siobhan, and she, looked at our tongues. That was a very interesting first encounter. By looking at our tongues, she didn't know who we were. She gave both of us a very accurate picture of who we were, like our personalities and our attitude, general attitude in life. And she gave us this whole range of different tools, whether it's to deal with the body and whether it's to deal with the mind. She empowered us to trust that we could do it, to trust that our body could change, that through some Chinese medicinal plants, some meditation, relieving the stress that we were carrying without even knowing it. We just thought we were busy with life, busy with friends, busy with social life, busy with renovating my parents' house. But that creates a lot of stress. So the focus was to balance, was to find a balance again in our lives, and to make our bodies ready to perform the biggest role in their lives. And so that's how we met Siobhan.
Did you believe from the moment that you met Siobhan and listened to what she had to say, did you believe that this was going to work, that you would become pregnant?
So the issue with me was not to become pregnant. I would get pregnant. It's just the pregnancies were not viable.
Yeah.
And when I spoke to Neve, Neve was breastfeeding a newborn, and she was telling me this. She explained what she went through and how her life was completely transformed thanks to Siobhan. So when Neve told me that, well, first of all, I felt less alone in this world, because it's a very lonely place to go through a miscarriage, a pregnancy loss, whatever it is. It's a very private topic. It's not something we talk about a lot. I recently heard on Irish radio that 1 in 4 pregnancies end up in some sort of miscarriage. And when I heard what had happened to my friend, first of all, you feel that sense of oneness. You feel that sense of, I'm not alone.
Yeah.
We're not alone experiencing this. And this is so important. And I have goosebumps telling you, talking about this, because yes, we're all human. We all, we're in a world now of social media where everything is great. Well, no, not everything is great. And we go through these challenges, especially for Niamh and I, and for a lot of couples that turn to Siobhan. I was 39 when I first got pregnant, and it didn't work. And I was told by the Western medicine, I was told by my very able gynecologist that at past 35 years old, you're too old to have a child. So, when you're a woman. So, listening to this, there's a lot of weight on your shoulders as well, whether you want it or not. And just listening to Niamh's story gave me hope. And because I trust Niamh, I know she's my friend. And when I went to Siobhan we went to Siobhan with our eyes closed, trusting her and trusting her guidance. And we were 100% right in, welcoming the tools. It's not even about trust. It's about being open to try. What do you have to lose?
Exactly.
There's nothing to lose.
And we're going to hear about the success of your efforts in just a moment. I have to take a short commercial break. I want both of you to stay where you are. We will be back with Siobhan and Cindy and hear the rest of this story in just a moment.
The Saturday Show with Alan Maguire.
Right now it is 27 and a half minutes to 1 o'clock here in Ireland. Not sure, Cindy, what time exactly is it where you are in the French Alps? You're about an hour ahead, are you?
Yes, we are.
Right. And with me in the studio as well, Siobhan Kehoe. We're talking about fertility treatment. Cindy is telling her particular story, her troubles trying to get pregnant. I mean, it is heartbreaking. And as you said, Cindy, something like 1 in 4 people in Ireland experiencing this. It's something that is not talked about enough. It's a bit like, in the past we didn't talk about menstruation on air. We didn't talk about the menopause. Thankfully, we're now getting a little bit more open and trusting about this. Siobhan, though, there is one thing that Cindy said to me that caught me by surprise, because the last thing I would have thought of when you're going to talk to a couple about how to get pregnant would be to look at their tongues.
I didn't know what you were going to ask me there, Alan.
So the tongue must tell you a lot, does it?
Yeah. In Chinese medicine, which I studied for 5 years, and as I say, worked in China, the basis with Chinese medicine to diagnose is that you look at a person's tongue. And it's probably like the doctor years ago here. You know the way the doctor would look at a person's tongue to see what was going on. And so I've developed my own way of looking at tongues, so alongside Chinese medicine. And I don't mean to sound cocky, but I'm very confident. When I look at someone's tongue, I'm very confident what I see, what I pick up on, what their symptoms are, how the mind, the body, how it's all intertwined. I can even pick up nearly on an exact semen analysis, the exact diagnosis. I suppose it's 30 years, learning, and, it's my passion. It's, I believe, my soul journey, if I'm honest, what I'm meant to be doing. So when people come to me, I know it's unusual, even if it's online. I never look at notes before a consultation. I just look at someone's tongue. It pushes me to look deeper into what am I picking up on and what's off balance. And my work is supporting everyone to get back into balance. So when I look at someone's tongue, I'm seeing what's off balance and how that off balance is reflecting in symptoms and illness within the body.
Cindy, you met with Siobhan, yourself and your husband Ludo, and you obviously then you went home and you became pregnant. Now, how did you feel when that happened? Because obviously it wasn't your first time getting pregnant.
No. Well, we took our time. As I said, we went home. we started doing our homework, which was taking different mixes of herbs. Both of us had to do that. We both started doing little meditation exercises. It's a 15-minute a day. It's a guided meditation that's available, online. Writing a gratitude journal. It's basically reflecting on oneself, taking the time, looking at the positives in your life, and stop complaining about, everything. Basically, looking at our diet, Siobhan recommended some food supplements as well. She could see, looking at our tongues once again, that we could lack in magnesium and zinc, and she introduced us to all of this recommendations about general nutrition. And nutrition to me plays a huge part also in that process. So we went home and did our homework. COVID started to hit, so it was a blessing. It was a blessing to be able to have the time to be home, to do that yoga session there, that Zoom yoga session somewhere, taking the time for oneself, taking the time to cook, be grateful about what we have, because we have an awful lot. Not focus on the negative, and also really focus on the now. Because I think because of what had happened to us, we were really looking back. We're really scared that it would happen again. Myself was also, I think, carrying the weight of my father's loss back in 2016.
Oh, right.
And I was still looking back over my shoulder.
Of course.
I wouldn't allow myself to be 100% because he was no longer. But you can't bring anyone back. You can't change the past. You can only be in the now. It's pointless to worry about the future. We all do it, but it's not realistic. It's fear. It's not real. The only real thing is what you do right now. So the focus on the now, and the focus that this moment was a different moment to what had happened to us before, was key. So we took the time from February till probably June, end of June, and then we said, okay, we're ready. We're ready. We trust that this time around it's going to work. And I was lucky that I fell pregnant quite easily. We were, of course, a little anxious about the possible outcomes of the scans, of the different blood analyses that were happening, but we were trustful. And we had a lot of faith that it would work. Our families around us didn't really, believe as much as we did. And the results came out that they were good. The 12-week scan came out that everything was in order, and then we could relax even more. We could breathe. And Siobhan had advised to carry on taking the herbs, carry on doing this gratitude journal and routine. And to be honest, so I was then 41 years old. Celèste was born when I was 42, and the time of my pregnancy, I've never felt so much energy. I've never felt healthier. I felt a different person. A lot of
women would love to hear that, to be able to be in that position when they're pregnant. No, let me briefly take you to that moment, though. I want to hear how you felt that moment. I'm going to take you back to that time, the exact moment when Celèste arrived into the world, your daughter. What was that like?
We didn't know whether she was a boy or girl. We didn't want to know. But that's another story too, because just before getting pregnant, I went to an acupuncture, because it's sometimes recommended to go to see an acupuncturist at a certain time of the cycle, and she was working also with the Reiki. Reiki is a Japanese technique that deals with energy. And anyway, so after that session, that was 2 weeks before I got pregnant. I didn't know that. I didn't know I was going to get pregnant, but I believed that anything could help. And anyway, we didn't know if we were going to have a boy or a girl, but we thought it was going to be a girl.
Uh-huh.
We had that name. I had that name, and we had that name Celeste for a long time. We didn't have a name for a boy. We would have found one. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
It didn't matter whether it was a boy or a girl. The moment she came it's completely surreal. I mean, the birth of a child, I can't even, she was, you push and you think you can't, and I had no energy. It was a long process. She took her time.
Of course.
She took her time. It was like a little tsunami, literally, like overtaking your body. And this baby came out flying of me, had my eyes closed, and the midwife said, "Open your eyes. Your baby's here." And I received this bundle of something like wet and warm on my stomach. I had my eyes closed for a long time. It was just a full circle. Like we had gone from the total despair and being hopeless to to changing the game, to really like overcoming everything that everyone had told us. Oh, you're too old, you're too this, you're too that. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, so there you are, taking on one of the hardest jobs in the world, being a parent.
Yes, that's another story.
That's another story. Siobhan, you've actually met Celeste.
Yeah, such a wonderful experience. Cindy and Ludo, in fairness to them, always kept up contact, and they said, we're going to come back to Ireland and introduce you to Celeste someday. So last Sunday, I met Cindy and Ludo, and their most beautiful little girl, Celeste. She's just, even my daughter said, "Mammy, I don't think I've ever met a child so happy and so nice." She's 3 now. She's happy. She's smiling. She came up and sat in my lap. We had dinner together. She came up and sat in my lap. She's just so open-hearted and so friendly, and just really warmed my heart. And and Ludo, in fairness to him, I don't know if he's listening, Cindy's husband, Ludo too is a big part of this process, and
he's the other half, isn't he? Yeah.
He's the other half, and that's a big thing for me, that each person is 50%, and and I could see both of them in Celeste, both characteristics, both part of the personality, and it just really warmed my heart. So, like, it's one of the highlights of my summer, if I'm honest.
Yeah, but
to meet them.
Let's just talk a little bit away from fertility more, because obviously we've been hearing Cindy's story and how it came about. But you're not just focused solely on fertility, because I believe Cindy's mother availed of your help.
Oh yeah,
what was that about?
Yeah, after Cindy went back there on Monday morning. And Cindy texted me and said, "Oh, my mum has had a flare-up of her rheumatoid arthritis and autoimmune issues. Can I help?" So then on, I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday, I did a video call with Simone, is her name, Cindy's mum, and she speaks French. So Cindy was the interpreter, and again, I know this sounds unusual, but I got a shiver down my body. What was triggering that? So I got a shiver. Cindy said I could share this, that her mother was holding everything in, and she felt quite alone. And so again, one of my concepts is, in Chinese medicine, the mind is in the blood, and the blood makes the body fluid. So she felt stuck and rigid and caught, and is that amazing woman, that kind of golden girl, doing the right thing, being the right person. And when Cindy and Ludo were gone, and she felt quite alone, holding everything in, didn't want to upset anyone, and then her body had this flare up. So again, I gave her tips and tools and explained in a graph, actually, you know, on her energy and how I saw it, and I think she really understood it, Cindy, didn't she? And she's, thankfully, you know, her symptoms are easing now, aren't they, Cindy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Good to hear that.
Yes.
Cindy, I have one final question. Can I ask you one final question, Cindy? Because the clock is running against us a little bit, as always. But you know, what do you think your life would be like now if you hadn't made contact with Siobhan Kehoe?
My life would be empty. My life would be empty. She gave us the keys. She gave us the tools. She gave us the trust that we could do it. And she gave us the greatest gift in life. Really much enjoyed her 50% for the man, 50% for the woman approach. This was really, it's just true. It's pure science. And the natural approach, you know, is just also a wonderful thing. And anyone can do it. It's accessible to anyone, whether it's fertility. My mom is 78 years old. She was consulting with Siobhan this week. She's been following this different advice as well about the mind and about how stress plays a huge role in inflammation. So, you know, everything happens for a reason, and I'm just very grateful that our path crossed Siobhan, because, you know, now she's in our life for a long time.
Well, look, I want to say well done to you and to Ludo, and how happy you must be living in the French Alps with your beautiful daughter Celèste. And it's been wonderful talking to you. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. And just before we wrap up, Siobhan, obviously there's, you know, I'm going to be inviting you back again to talk some more about this.
Thank you.
But if people want to find out more, there is a website, and as you said, you do a lot of I remember you saying before, most of your consultations are done via Zoom, aren't they?
Yeah.
So where do people find the information?
Online video calls. I have a website. Yeah, it's fertilitytreatment.ie. And now also lately, only in the last month, I did 2 complimentary calls, you know, and I'm planning to do more group calls just to support people at a group level and to share my tips and tools. And so people can have individual calls, and I'm planning to do more group calls. And you know, and as I say, and as Alan mentioned, it's not just fertility that I treat, you know, it's every condition, really, you know, because people often say, as Cindy said, not only did she become more fertile, her health was never as good. She felt, you know, really energised, and she was 42 when she had her beautiful daughter. Yes, so it's every condition. It's fertility, autoimmune, pain, emotional and physical. Yeah. Thanks, Alan.
And that website again is fertilitytreatment.ie. Fertilitytreatment.ie. Siobhan, looking forward to our next chat.
Actually, also there's a phone number. Maybe I should share it. The work phone number is 05392 I've taken a number 05392. God, sorry, because I never actually ring this number. I think it's 77295 05392. The number's on the actual website. Yeah. Sorry, because I never actually.
I'll tell you what, I'll look it up a second. Siobhan Kehoe, thank you very much. Thanks very much to Cindy,
Alan, for having me on.
And Ludo and
Celeste.
Cindy, and we'll be talking to you again in the not too distant future.